I'm waiting on you.
And properly rating might explain individual under the level. So vice chair and chair will
Lead us through a part. Yeah. When you're gone, you can be nominated for anything. Okay. Okay, we're good to go. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. In the Board of Trustees, our regular board meeting for the year of January 2025. And one of my very first things that I would like to do is for those of you who do not know, I would like to introduce Dr. Jackie Vietti, our interim president. And we are appreciative that she's here.
magic did not call me in holy faith.
Anyway, shall we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I have a couple items for, or at least one. I would move to amend the agenda to move item 11A, approval of minutes, to item 10E on the board action.
11A to 10E.
Just the minutes. I just had two things I didn't see in there I'd like to add.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'll accept a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second. Yes.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
and trustee Smith.
Yes.
And our first order of business is the election of board officers and appointments. And so our first thing is to elect a chair. And so I will entertain nominations for a chair.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Forrest Rhodes for chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any more nominations?
I would nominate Linda Jolly again.
I would second that.
She's not here.
Sure she wants it.
Miss a meeting, these things happen.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to speak out of order, but Linda has said she would decline a nomination to serve again next year, given her other commitments.
I would nominate Shelby as chair, but if anybody will second that.
Nobody will, but I will. Second.
I think it's fair to move it around a little bit. I think you would do a good job. Nothing against Forrest.
No offense, Nicholas.
Okay, hearing no more.
So
We
voted-
take them, we
voted
take them
order
in
Received. So
the way they're received,
I
right?
will withdraw my nomination. She'd like to decline anyway, so it's a no.
Okay. So although,
so we start by voting on Forrest
okay,
and we go until we have a majority decision.
Okay.
Trustee Good. This is
Yes.
for Forrest for chair.
Thank you. Yes.
Trustee Good, trustee Brungart,
No.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
yes.
trustee Smith.
Nope.
Passes 4-2. So that is a majority decision.
Mr. Chairman, for vice chair, I would like to nominate David Shear. Yes. It is appropriate now, like the chair.
Good job, Dave.
Did I get it
Five
through?
more minutes.
Dude, honestly.
Man. It went so fast.
There you go.
Okay, I think Dave started the next step, which would be to entertain motions for or nominations, excuse me, for vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Dave Shear for vice chair.
Have a second to that?
Second.
Okay, any other vice chair nominees?
Nominate Shelby again, just to establish a pattern.
Wasting your time.
I just want to
Second.
establish a pattern and
We're having
think that
fun.
it- exactly what I think is gonna happen is gonna happen. No offense if you're getting like.
Seeing,
I would nominate Kim Brungart just to get it back.
Kim would decline the nomination. I'm gonna pull a Linda. I'm gonna pull a Linda. I'm barely keeping my head above
Nice
water as
focus.
it is.
think hearing no more nominations.
This is to nominate trustee Shearer for vice chair, trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
No,
trustee Rhodes,
Yes,
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
No.
Okay, that is a 4-2 majority for trustee Shearer to serve as vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Aaron Hueslig for secretary treasurer.
you have a second to that nomination.
I would second that.
Any other nominees for secretary treasurer? Hearing none.
Okay, trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart, trustee Rhodes.
Yes,
Trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
all in agreement. So the next positions are the sort of voluntary who wants to, I mean, that's how we've done it, at least in the past, is people that want to take on one of these roles can do so. Do we have, the first one is the KACC delegate. Mary Martha, you were that last year, right?
I was,
are you
and the year
interested in-
before, and I would like to continue. But if somebody else would like to go with me, I'd appreciate that too.
At times, Mary Martha, I wouldn't mind going with you.
It's not For- to, approve a delegate and an alternate delegate, I've seen that. But you board minded.
Does anyone besides Mary Martha want to take it on as the actual delegate role?
Okay.
I would do alternate.
Do we need to vote on these, or do we just appoint it? Okay, well then hearing none, I think Mary Martha, thank you. And does the alternate delegate have to be the same throughout the year, or can it be a different alternate for each meeting? Okay. Then hearing no other interest, I think then Dave is appointed as the alternate delegate. The Board Finance Committee, the vice chair by position is one of the committee members, and then we usually have one other one. Does anyone have an interest in serving on that role? I think the time commitment is you've got a meeting at 3:30, typically before the board meeting on the same Tuesday. So it's arriving here a little earlier on meeting days.
I think Linda Jolly would like that.
I think Linda would be wonderful at it. I just, if she's willing to serve in that role, I don't know. Hearing no one else volunteering to or wanting to take it on. why don't we provisionally appoint Linda as the second? And if we find out at the next meeting that that doesn't work, we can adjust. Foundation Board Liaison, I am happy to continue in that role. As Mary Martha said, with the KACC, I don't want to stand in the way of someone else that wants to take on a role with the foundation. If there's interest, I'm happy to step back and let somebody else do it, but I'm fine doing it otherwise. Okay, it's easy enough. The Educational Facilities Authority, Dave has had this one in the past.
And I'd like to continue with that.
Like, we typically have 2 spots. Does anyone want to fill in to take that other role? I'm happy to do it if no one else wants to.
I think you'd be good, Forrest.
And it's it's a cooperative between the city of El Dorado, the USD 490 and Butler Community College. So
That leaves us the capital projects team, which I know for at least the last 5 years has not had a lot to do, but that's not to say that we.
I'll be on that again. We did get an invite from Ireland the other day.
Okay, there we go. It's a 2-spot, a two
Should I be on that,
nominee
Kim? It was
selection.
A lot of responsibility.
I would join you.
Well, we have never done anything.
I
5
know,
years.
but I'd still join you.
I mean, I was gonna say, if it's add one or 2 meetings, then that would be something I could actually commit to, but it's fine if Dave wants to do it.
Sure, they
Okay.
want it.
So we have Dave. Okay, thanks everybody for taking on those roles, and I will turn it over to Dr. Vietti for recognitions.
Well, we have 2. One is printed, one is not. So we would like the opportunity to recognize Dr. Noreen Templin, who could not be here this evening, but you can see why she is being recognized on page 3. And it is for her commitment to professional development opportunities and presentations at the 22nd Annual St. Louis Fed Professors Conference and 94th Annual Conference of the Southern Economics Conference. So congratulations to Noreen and thanks for representing the best. Other recognition that is not mentioned happens to be for someone who had a birthday on January
Oh.
4th. So happy
Oh.
birthday to Dave Shear.
Oh.
Cheesecake.
Thank you. It was a hard one, you know. There's no more round, there's only one round number.
Okay, Dr. Vietti, thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to public comment. Do we have anyone? Are we expecting any public comment? Okay, seeing or hearing none, we can move on to standing reports, starting with student government.
And students are not back
Oh,
yet.
of course,
Classes
that's-
start next Tuesday, so there will be no report.
That is a good point. Okay, then operational staff. Zach, that's what I said.
Zach, before you begin, I just want to say the decorations were out of this world for in-service yesterday.
Well, that is kudos to Mark Jarvis and his team.
Oh, really?
Not
That
our
was
operational staff,
neat.
but thank you.
Yeah, pass it on because they were phenomenal.
I don't have much for operational staff. We don't meet in January. Our next meeting will be the Thursday after February's board meeting, which I think is February 13th, and we'll meet here in El Dorado.
Okay, thank you.
They were
Professional
cool
employees.
decorations, so.
Dr. or I don't
Camille could not be here
Okay,
tonight either.
we'll move on. Board Finance Committee, Mary Martha or Dave, anything to report?
Dave, you can take it over.
I will, on the board finance, everything. There's a couple of discrepancies from 2024 to, and I found out
What
that
page are you on, Dave? I'm sorry.
I'm on page 193. I did find out that anytime something is kind of between 3 and 4% difference, it kind of gets flagged onto why there's a 3 or 4% difference. And the first one is on local sources. You'll notice that last year we had our percent of budget was 9.2, 12% in the revenues. This year, it's a little bit less. The revenues did come in from the county, but they didn't get recorded until January. They didn't. So it's going to show on 2025. And that also happened under auxiliary sources. And that mainly includes the income from the fire science dorms. And they didn't get recorded until January. If you look down in expenses, we have more expenses, a little more expenses on student financials. And that's because we have more scholarships up. And so we're giving more scholarships. And our debt service is looking good. And the mandatory transfers, the reason why there's a 20% dip in that is last year they were all coded to a general fund, and this year they're coded to a different fund. So they'll show up differently next year. Or next month, I guess I should say. And that's the report.
Thank you, Dave. Any other questions? Okay, move on. Foundation Board report. Foundation Board will meet next month, so I don't have anything. Tom, is there anything otherwise to report?
Would you tell me one more time when the gala is? March?
It's the first Friday of March.
First Friday.
Thank you.
President's report, Dr. Vandy.
I have just a few short things while I get my land legs. The first is reminder of the January work session on January 27th. The focus will be on the draft budget for FY 26, and exec VPs are working diligently to draft a budget to share with you. If you do have any questions beforehand related to the budget, if you'll email them to me, we'll be sure to incorporate those into the discussion. Referencing the 600, 700 HVAC project that the board has approved, we do have 2 sets of binders up here at the table. So if you would like to look through one of those binders, please feel free to do so. There is a selection committee led by Ireland, right? And it's going to meet in the near future to select a CMR. I know you met with the legislators, and Heather Morgan was here, and I think you did that late fall. She had scheduled through KACC training sessions for new board members or board members who'd like to be reminded of a community college overview in general and community college financing specifically. There was not enough interest on the date she had sent out to gather via Zoom, but she has offered to come to board meetings or a board gathering to give some one-on-one updates and training. So I am polling the board to see if you have an interest in that or not.
I do.
The rest of you? All right. What I'll do is get some dates from her and then test those dates with you. But especially, and we'll get into this more under the KACC report, with what is happening at the state level, I think it really could be informative for the board to hear from Heather. So I'm glad you have that level of interest. And then, last, to my right, beyond my right of trustee Rhodes, we do have some documents that are being mailed to some residents of Butler County who are supportive of the college. And if you would like a copy in advance, please feel free to take one. But my mantra is never send something out to the general public that the board is not aware of. So while you will be getting these in the mail, you have copies beforehand if you have an interest in them, and we would be happy to answer any questions you have on that. So, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report. I'd be happy to entertain questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Dr. Vitti? Okay, we'll move on then to the KACC report. Dr. Vietti or Mary Martha? Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped right over that. Thank you. Yes, educational facilities.
We didn't have a meeting, so no, and we're not having a meeting this month, so no report.
Okay,
Okay,
now KACC.
I
um,
don't have anything.
Okay, you have again at your places, a document that has been developed by Heather. The first page is an overview of the Kansas Community College system. The second page contains the system's budget priorities for the coming year. And the third page and on to the back contains our legislative priorities, and take these home, put them under your pillows, read them. If you have questions, let me know. But to highlight regarding the budget priorities in summary form, we are advocating for full funding next year for our gen ed offerings, for our career and tech ed offerings, and for the 3 special initiatives that were funded this year related to cybersecurity, student success, and training for business and industry. The state allocated those initiatives as one-time funding for 25. We are hopeful that the state will see value in those and continue the funding in FY 26. The other piece of the budget platform, if you will, is no unfunded mandates as directed by either the state or the Board of Regents. So in a very succinct form, full funding for next year based on this year and no unfunded mandates. And then in terms of the legislative priorities, again, no unfunded mandates. And there is discussion at the Kansas Board of Regents regarding offering 15 credit hours. It's called the first 15 of gen ed at no cost to the students. And KACC's view on that is someone has to pay for that. And so again, don't make it an unfunded mandate for the community colleges. Second plank, if you will, is preserve local control. And then the third is, while we're so supportive of funding for training for high demand, high wage jobs, we cannot forget the critical needs jobs. And the one I would cite is certified nurse aid and medication aid training. Every community needs trained people in those areas. So while again, yes, we embrace funding for career and tech ed, high demand, high wage, cannot forget local community needs. So I would be happy to answer any questions you have, but that in a nutshell, it is a 4-page document reduced to 5 sentences or 10.
Dr. Vietti, do you know if they are going to offer the Promise scholarships again this semester and next?
I do not know that, but I am happy to get that
Okay.
answer.
Thank you. I didn't know whether the funding was gone or what was happening there.
Well, and I would ask, council to VPs that do have an answer, since I don't.
No, ma'am.
We'll get you one.
Okay, thank you.
So again, any questions? That concludes the KACCT report then.
Thank you. That's good info. Hopefully they're successful in those goals as we get through the legislative year. We have no monitoring report, excuse me, this month, so we'll move on to our strategic discussion items. The first is the presidential search update. I know that's a Linda item. Do we have, with Linda not here, do we have someone else that can provide an update, or is there?
I would not, if Shelley is comfortable, I would call on her because she is in the trenches on this.
Yes, I do have an update. I'm excited to say we are finally moving into the first phase of this process. And on Friday, the first meeting with the screening committee will take place at 9 a.m. And that will be the 14 individuals that were identified. Some of those are community members. Most of them are the ones that were serving on the previous committee, but also some deans, VP, myself, several faculty members are on the committee. And so we're really looking forward to getting started. We've had several meetings over Zoom with Angela Provart, who is, of course, the president of the Poly Group, and they have been extremely well orchestrated, and I believe she's very organized. I'm excited that she's coming to every meeting we have with the screening committee to facilitate this process and really help us be successful in selecting a finalist or semifinalist for the board to review. So this Friday is our first meeting. It's more informational, telling us about the process. And then boom, right after we leave there, we can start reviewing candidates, and it'll be on their website that we can go in and look at them. And I believe if you remember when we had a conversation with her in the last, in a work session, I believe it was, and she told us that basically she'll put them in 3 categories. And so we'll be able to see those that we should strongly consider, or those that are qualified, but, you know, and then those that are probably not qualified, but you'll get to see all of them and not just a certain ones that she selected as the most qualified or should consider. So I think that'll be interesting, and I'm glad it's going to be an automated process and I don't have to make hundreds of copies of resumes. And so I appreciate that work is going to be done in a more efficient manner as well. So after that first meeting, then we will meet again. We'll start looking at the applications, and then we'll meet again February 21st to actually select the semifinalists that we would like to interview. And so she'll come in for that meeting as well. And then on March 4th, 5th, and 6th is when we'll interview those semifinalists. So we're doing it right along. And, you know, each step has kind of a milestone that we need to get to keep this thing rolling and have someone hired by July. Yes, Mary Martha.
Shelley, do you have the dates yet that you want the trustees present?
Well, your portion or your interview portion is on
Isn't it March 31st?
March 31st. Thank you. March 31st, April 1st, and April 2nd.
Okay.
And we'll bring the final candidates, candidates, thank you, to campus, and we'll have tours and we'll have open forums. You do not have to be at that.
Okay.
And the evening will then be your part with a dinner and an interview process, and we'll outline that all for you.
So it will be in the evening.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I
Perfect.
would
Thank
mark, at least 5 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier, but I think that probably that would be a good starting time.
Thank you.
But we'll know more and have more information for you after this Friday for sure. I'm excited.
May have to give you money for donuts.
They're pretty good.
On Friday, we will have some pastry and coffee. Now Jennifer's taking good care of us, so.
Shelley, thank you. Okay, we'll move on then. The quarterly Cora reports. It is in the board book on page 7. If anyone has any questions.
I just have one question for Kent. The second just from the bottom, is that just a checkup on students that went through here and passing on to another university or NFL? Is that anything we need to be concerned about? Charlie Mowry?
That's one on the.
Yeah, second,
Yeah.
right.
And that's just a service.
Okay.
They, who's athletes want that information back and show they graduated and then moved on to the staff.
Okay. That's my question.
Okay, hearing no other comment, we will keep moving to discussion topic number 3, which is live streaming the meetings. I guess I'll turn it over to Dr. Vietti, at least with respect to what the administration's recommendation is that we discuss or we consider.
As a reminder, this is a discussion item this month with action next month. We have been pulling data regarding the number of people who have been live streaming. Aiden Dunleavy sent out some metrics this afternoon. You may or may not have had time to see those, but we thought between now and the decision-making time, you can review them. Let us know if you have any questions. And granted, there are pros and cons to live streaming. In the big picture, it's how do we ensure transparency of action within this board? The administrative recommendation based on conversation with Heather Morgan is that we find another way to ensure that your constituents are apprised. For a couple of major reasons, if we do not live stream, we may have richer discussion among the board. And occasionally, and I do this, I open my mouth and speak before I think, and perhaps misspeak. So that is a disadvantage to live streaming. And there is an efficiency factor with staff because it does take a significant amount of time. On the other hand, the upside is then your constituents can go to live stream and they know in real time what is happening. So my recommendation is open it up for board discussion. Think about, ponder the board discussion among you, and then come prepared to take action next month.
Do we know who the 3 colleges are that are still live? I guess the 2 besides Butler that are still live streaming.
I believe Johnson County is live streaming. There are 2 others. We'll get that information for you.
My concern is if things aren't live streamed or videoed and archived, no one knows exactly what happened in the meeting. If I say something, Mary said, I said this, I say, she said that. There's no proof of what was said. There's no, it's just kind of a, he said, she said in the future of something that possibly could have happened. I think, I don't care so much if it's live streamed, but it's not difficult to live stream and archive onto YouTube. I mean, Kim's son does it. I videoed YouTube with 50,000 views. We could do it simpler, just have a camera in the corner, just films it, post it to the website. And even if we didn't do that, I can't demand anything, but I would like a written transcript of the meeting posted in PDF form that's searchable. And who cares? I mean, there's only a couple hundred people that watch the meeting. Not that many people watching live. But I think there does need to be absolute transparency. And that's the thing too. It's like, if there's only 3 community colleges that do it, let's be a leader. We're taking 14 million of your money. This is exactly where, and that's the other thing too, is people can't get off work at 4:30 and drive to El Dorado to see what happened at the college. And if there's no record and then all we have are some minutes, it's very vague. Even today, I'm just adding 2 things, kind of just to make a point of 2 things that were mentioned last month. But no one would have any idea about it at all, and I would have a hard time remembering it a year from now if it wasn't actually in the minutes. So I would argue to have either don't live stream it, but video it and archive it. But and if you're gonna make a transcript of it, you pretty much have to video it anyway, so you can make it transcript, if you're doing an audio transcript. But that would be the easiest way, I think. And there's not gonna be a great number of people looking at it every day. But I think if we're like open and honest about it, like, here's all, everything we said, here's where it's posted, if you'd like to look, there it is, emails with any questions. And it doesn't seem like we're hiding anything, just. I think transparency is a good side to err on.
One thing too about taking, you know, someone just taking notes of the meeting versus it being recorded and put out there. Voice inflection matters, you know, intent of a statement can matter, and that's not gonna come through in a written transcript of a meeting. So, you know, and the notion of people not speaking freely, I don't think this group has any issue with speaking. Sitting here for 3 years, I don't think that's a problem. So that's just my opinion.
It does allow people who voted or didn't vote for you to see what you actually did for next
Right.
time. Like,
Yeah.
Dr. Vietti, do you know the background to Heather Morgan's recommendation that have there been examples where people are misusing? Like clipping something out of context and then sharing, is that where that's coming from, or is there something else?
She has stated there have been examples where very well-intentioned board members have misspoken. Again, not intentionally, but unintentionally, about facts related to AACC, the community college system, the state, or the Board of Regents.
from the opposite side of that, there were clips of previous trustees or even me sent to HLC, look at this 1 minute on what they said, or 2 minutes. And then when you have the context of the entire board meeting, it resolve any of those issues, whereas so-and-so said this in this meeting. Okay, but what was the context? So I think it would alleviate any future, at least know what was actually said. I don't see the benefit of doing away with it. Seems like they're trying to hide something to them, not.
I don't think police officers would walk around with video on their chest if it was a bad idea. I mean, it's kind of the same concept. It's just, you know, facts are facts, and even well-intentioned mistakes are just that, you know, and they can be verified and, you know, or put to rest. Okay, this person misspoke. You can reiterate that on the next meeting or whatever. There's ways to fix it. Whereas if there's no documented evidence of what was said, and you have a lot of room for ambiguity, you know, I just think that would be the worst personally.
So tell me this, if we did not live stream it, would we go ahead and tape it? Or is that up for
That would
discussion
be
too?
it'd be up for us to decide how we wanted to. I mean, my understanding is we have no obligation to do either. We have to have minutes, but otherwise we don't have any obligation to record.
I mean, it's really going downhill, the views.
What it is archived. So, I mean, I use it as a resource to see who said what 14 meetings ago, or even what I said. Something like, I remember hearing that. I didn't write it down. Now I can't find it. I'll be at work and I'll hit play and listen to 2 or 3 board meetings, like, oh, there it was. And I've had it personally. I was going to mouth off at some meeting. Then I re-listened to it and it's like, oh, I misremembered it. I've done that at least twice. But like, I remember for sure that's what they said and it wasn't right. For the small number of people that are even going to look at it later and see them. It doesn't cost to post it anything. And we could do it without microphone, just a simple camera in the corner. And if that's the case too, when we do executive sessions and we sign out and we log back in, why don't we just say we'll no longer do that once our meetings are over? We're just done recording, because we just come in and dismiss. I don't know, I think there'd be some.
Not a decision point for tonight. Any other comments or points for us to all think about before next month?
We,
Oh, I was gonna say, I do. Okay. I like your ideas, whether to just. You know, I sometimes think that. I think sometimes the competition, you know, there's somebody on the competition always out, I'm kind of thinking that way more than anything else, that unfortunately, we don't get to listen to WSU Tech on their from their meetings, and so that's how my viewpoint is that some of the proprietary stuff that we want to do, keep it proprietary.
We can do that in extension. My concern with that, it seems like a Trojan horse of, we've had, not trying to be offensive, 20 semesters of decline, but we've got to not live stream because our competition is going to steal our ideas. WSU, I don't think is watching just to steal our ideas. I know people are uncomfortable when they're asked questions and they may not have an answer. But at the same time, we have Butler County residents paying $14 million. 70-ish, I think we just got revised to 67%, come from Wichita. Similar number of teachers come from Wichita. We pay them with our tax dollars. They drive home. And then if the Butler County residents have no idea what was said in meetings, how their money was spent, it's like, well, why are we subsidizing Wichita? And if there is an archive and a record, it'd be like, well, that's what you did, that's what you did. To at least answer all those questions. That's my 2 cents. I think I've said it 3 times, so I'll be fine.
At least.
That's what I do.
Okay, hearing no more comment, we will move on, but we'll take this up for action next month.
And we will get the names of the other 2 colleges beyond Johnson.
Oh, thank you. I was just curious. I mean, I expected Johnson County, just based on its financial resources, would have been one. I was just curious who the other one is. I don't know I don't think that moves the needle in my perspective as to what we should do. It was just a curiosity. So don't knock yourself out, I guess is what I'm saying. If you can find out easily, great, but it's
And
not.
I'd like Butler to stand.
It's not a
be an
huge deal.
innovator and a leader. We had the biological males and female sports, and we did nothing until the legislature acted, overrided a veto, and then they're like, oh yeah, and we passed it as an action item. We could have led years ago to say, hey, this is what we, in this community, this is how we're gonna run our college, and we've been like, oh, there's no ambiguity about Butler, this is what they're doing. They're fully transparent.
What are you talking about?
Men and women's sports. We waited until last year. The governor vetoed over it regarding it, and then we made it our policy because it's now a state policy. But we could have addressed it prior. It wouldn't be a looming question anymore. So men compete against men and women against women, and that's what policy. Clear up a lot of things, and we would be a leader. So
Let's
waiting
bring
to
this
see what
discussion back to
Yeah, yeah.
our agenda. So, moving on to our action items, the ACCT affirmation of service and standards. This is what we worked on last year to kind of tweak the language so that we would have all 7 trustees willing to sign. So I think this is just redoing that for 2025.
It is, and Jennifer has printed a copy for the board to sign.
I've moved to approve that.
Second.
We fought long and hard to hash that out.
As long as, yeah, that's the same, we'll leave it alone.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, well, we can just pass it
Pass
along
it
while we're
around.
going and sign that. Thanks, everybody.
I didn't
Next,
know if it took a motion or not.
next
That's an action item.
item is, let's see, Dr. Kroll's retiring.
What?
So would entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Dr. Kroll with regrets.
I would move to accept your resignation.
Second. Sorry. We usually have someone speak on behalf of the people that are resigning. We all know Dr.
Mary would
Kroll
like,
so well.
Mary would like to, wouldn't you?
My gosh, you retired. I don't know why we get these so late in life. How come, Shelley?
Well, she just retired January 6th.
I know, but her resignation came in a few weeks ago.
Well, like a year ago, but who's
You
counting?
did a darn good job.
She
We're
did.
gonna miss her.
The nice thing is that she'll be around in the community. she and I have our hair done at the same place. So,
Meeting
but
points.
she'll be around in the community and I think she's expecting another grandchild. So
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
yes,
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Next, action item topic is ad astra scheduling and planning. Back, oh, there we go. Have the floor.
Okay. Ad Astra is not new to you all. However, the proposal in front of you is a little bit different than what we've had to date. I wanted to share a little bit of context before Zach talks about the difference in the contract. You have approved Ad Astra, you've approved the work of the Success in Higher Education group that's helping with our enrollment coaches. And that's all work of the strategic enrollment management team as well under Jessica's leadership. And so in those conversations about how we address efficiency in our schedule, creating, that increase in class size that we've talked to you about, and also the continued work of the enrollment coaches, this tool is going to be critical because it's going to provide features that allow us to create a better schedule for our students to ensure that they have what they need to complete in the shortest time frame possible, which is obviously everyone's goal, the success of our students. So, we want to thank you for your support of Ad Astra to date, and I'm going to hand it over to Zach to talk about the difference in features.
Before we get going too far, I'll move to
Yeah.
approve.
What?
So move to class. Will facilitate, I know it spends money, but it is a good program that does help people have data in front of them and yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
Speak loud into the microphone.
While we have a motion on the floor.
I will have a second.
Okay, so
I
we have
will
a motion.
second.
Proceed, Zach, unless you don't want to. So.
We appreciate
Yeah,
your
we-
support.
Yeah, we
We've
thought
got-
you'd have
you've-
more questions, and that's
You've
fine.
you've talked
We
about it
appreciate
quite a
the
few
support.
times. It sounds like a good program. My
Right.
son's actually enrolling last night and it's like, this class has this many students. That has that. This one is full, so he's trying to figure it out. I think he got it all done today. He had 2 different sets of 3 different classes to smush together, so. Last I heard it worked out well.
Does anyone have questions for Heather or Zach?
I didn't mean to shut you down. I just wanted
That's
to.
okay. The less talking we do, the better, right?
Yeah. Makes our jobs. We've been here since 8, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you all for being.
Yeah.
For proposing and.
Thank you for your
being
presentation.
prepared to-
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yeah.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes,
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that also passes 6-0. See, Ireland has already beat me to the podium.
I would
so-
also move to approve the welding project,
Sweet.
but I would still like to hear from you.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Let's hear from
Ireland.
Ireland.
Okay, yeah, I won't go over all this. The project was, I think we had a question about the design and everything. We hired innovative groups to actually design the mechanical engineer company to design the project. We worked with Rose Hill School District with their staff and to design the total construction of the replacement of the heating in there in that lab room and an exhaust for the welding programs. So if anyone is interested in bid documents and blueprints or whatever, I'll let you have a copy, but Innovative Groups is the mechanical contractor and they will oversee the project, be inspecting the project and sign off on it. So
My only interest would be next fall and spring to know what our enrollment numbers are, because I know when we went through construction there the first time we didn't really hear anything for quite a while. Then it was kind of not the best news, so.
Yeah, you didn't
we're
hear
just-
anything because there wasn't anything.
Yeah, there was
We didn't
0,
have any
yeah,
enrollment.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
yeah, we have already reached out to our high school partners. We have 2 institutions in the area whose welding programs have a waiting list. Our program had a waiting list this fall. So there's definitely room.
On
for
yesterday
growth.
that he wanted to take welding. So,
Yes, it's a very popular program and we haven't had the capacity here to do it. And so Rose Hill's been a great partner. And this is another opportunity to continue that partnership.
I just may forget in the fall, but it would be nice to be reminded like, hey, here's how welding. I mean,
Absolutely.
it'll
We can do
come
that,
out of
and
20
it'll also
numbers.
be in our monitoring report, which is always in November.
Okay, thank you.
So
The
Rose
ne-
Hill, oh, Rose Hill, the welding program starts when?
In the fall.
In the fall,
That'll be in the room we toured.
right?
Correct.
Just refurbing it.
That's
And
very nice.
Your new president will be happy to bring a report. Placing
this
it
is-
on the
This is
agenda.
why it's important to have it on video. Now I remember I asked. that, and everybody said
Message
November.
sent, message received.
Yeah, yeah.
This will also create opportunities for non-credit welding. We've had non-credit classes that haven't made because students don't want to travel to El Dorado. By being in Rose Hill, it's a little bit closer. They can come and take those classes. We have looked at partnerships with the Heartland Welding in Andover, and the cost was just too high, about almost 11 grand per year for a student.
I do know 2 adults that would like to take on the side welding just for know-how.
Well, we can
You and Mary.
add that to the report as well.
I just got through talking to Barry about it. Didn't I? Do you want to take it for credit or non-credit?
I don't need any more credits.
I don't need credits either.
I would audit.
Heather, what's the?
I just want the skills.
Do you still have the recurring nightmare where you show up to class? and you have that in-
Length of the
And you're
agreement
naked.
or
Nightmares, yeah,
Not negative, but
yeah.
And my understanding is we're,
Entire-
we're significantly investing to improve their facility.
correct.
So what is their commitment to be partnered with us on this program?
Sure. So they are supplying all of the welding equipment and they're doing the electrical in the building. We are already paying for that building because it's part of our current lease. So we're paying for it whether we're using it or not, because that was the agreement we made when they added that space. It is a
As part of the
10-year
construction
lease.
program, right?
Yeah, it's a 10-year lease because that's the longest you can do by law. So we signed that in 2021. So they would have to give us 60-day notice towards the end of that agreement to terminate.
And Rose Hill is supplying all the tools, furniture,
Yes.
equipment. It's all that stuff.
I did have a question. The bids, I don't see the page. I know it's on. Oh, I haven't turned far enough. What page is that on? There we go.
20.
So thank you. There's quite a, well, to me, there's quite a variance in the bid.
There it is.
And the reason I have brought the question for it is there a significant difference in the ventilation systems that they're using? Is that the difference in the?
Well, the difference in the bid is actually, I thought it was fairly close for contractors. It lot depends on, you know, how busy they are. You know, if they really don't need it, the price may be a little higher, but the reason it is, you know, 200,000 plus is at this time, the building, you know, that lab is connected with all the rest of the heating here in the building. We had to remove all that lab, cap all that off and put a whole new system in that lab, plus exhaust for the welding tools and stuff. So it's complete tear out and reinstall of heating, air and exhaust and electrical.
So, like you said earlier, that it was designed by engineering or architecture
Yes.
firm, and then they all bid off of that. So systems they're using have to be somewhere.
Correct. It was all these prices are spec'd off the same equipment. Yes. Yes. Anything else?
Any other questions?
So basically, they're just creating new electrical, a standalone,
Yes.
From-
Standalone
from-
lab.
right?
Yes. And Rose Hill is taking care of all the electrical infrastructure
Right.
too. Butler was only in the commitment doing the heating, air and exhaust.
So the ventilation that's in there now, that was for construction, correct?
Yes.
Is that compatible for the welding program?
No, it isn't because it pulled the return air back to all the classrooms, but because in construction, they have to dust collectors that actually pull the dust out of the air at each equipment and welding. You really
What are we
can't
gonna
do
do
that.
with all that ventilation?
Uh,
Do you save it? Or do you get rid of
we
it?
are using some of the duct work,
Uh-huh.
but other than that, it just, we're capping it off and the school district can pull
I
it,
think she's.
put it somewhere else if they want,
Yeah.
or
There's no way that
Push.
you can't cap it off and just leave it there in the building without,
we are.
okay.
We're capping it off. Well, it's up above in a mezzanine. It isn't actually in the classroom. We'll remove all the duct work to it and everything, but it is side by side to the unit that actually feeds Rose's Hills carpentry class or whatever. So possibility if their unit breaks that they could possibly reuse that other unit. So
Thanks, Ireland.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Are we ready for a vote
Take a
on
vote.
that?
Yes. We
Trustee
have
Good?
a motion and a
Yes.
second.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
That passes 6-0. We'll move to the minute approval of last meeting that we moved from the consent agenda to the board action item. Shelby, did you have something?
No, I was just gonna say on the board action items on that welding thing, the paper actually said that we needed to say which contractor we were gonna use and for how much. Does that matter? I mean, I know we just approved to do it, but we didn't say who.
No, that's a good point. Why don't we, who made the motion?
Who made them?
Shelby,
Yeah,
did you?
There was a recommendation,
Yeah, like.
they recommended
Dean Norris.
Dean Norris.
Dean Enor, so.
Why don't we just what, yeah,
Yeah.
That's, I think it was implied.
okay.
Okay, that's fine. I
Okay.
didn't know if we
Presented.
needed to specify.
Make the motion to approve Deanie Morris under the authorization of innovate.
All right, let's just do it again, to be safe. I move to
Innovative
approve facilities management. To approve the action, facility management recommends that the board approve proposal from Dean E. Morris. Inc. for installation of a new exhaust system in existing Rosehill USD 394. At a total cost of $220,637.
And I'll second. Or Kim, you can second.
Doesn't matter.
Under the,
What'd you say? Under the.
Under the innovative group.
Under the,
they're kind of the general contractor of that. They're mechanical engineer.
so we're approving Dean E. Morris as the general contractor.
Under the innovative group.
Under innovative.
Does that say those words?
So
Under
innovative
the
is the general.
Yes, under
Yeah.
the innovative group.
Yeah.
Do it.
Under the
Innovative.
innovative group. Yeah, all right.
Way to go,
I second
Shel.
that, Dave.
Yes, I will, because it was worth seeing Mary Martha mouth it.
Yeah, you get all confused trying to read her. lips.
Kim had seconded the original motion, so it's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Be consistent on second.
Okay. Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And now we will move on to the minutes from the December meeting. Shelby, did you have some?
Yep, just two things. And as a backtrack, if there was a recording of this, they would know our attention absolutely by the round and round we just went through. All I had on page 39C, when Kent Williams was talking last year or last month, he had mentioned they were going to remove, I think it was $1 million from deferred maintenance and the general fund. Is that how it went? I was just going to have that mentioned in the minutes.
Yeah.
Shelby, tell me
Current
again what
year,
page.
There would be a transfer from the deferred maintenance designated account
Right.
to the general fund.
Right, I would like to have that entered in the minutes. And then also I asked a question, it's page 39, item C, it was last month when Kent was talking to us,
Okay,
and then we still had 400 and some thousand from our capital mill outlay fund that hasn't been spent yet, I think we mentioned that,
That's approximately.
480 something, I don't remember exactly.
It's in, yes, between 4 and 5, that 100,000.
I would like to enter that as well, that's one of the things from, I can't remember exactly what it was, I just write it down.
Yeah, the exact amount's in the book. I can give you the exact amount.
No, it's, I
Shel-
just like it mentioned generally, so,
Okay,
so if I'm checking this later in the minutes, I could.
that'd be fine.
Shelby, what do you mean under C,
It's in the minutes.
under board action item
No,
C.
sorry, the very top of the page.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's
Okay,
Two Cs on that page.
thank you.
I see what you're saying.
So
Top,
do we need a, yeah, we do need a motion. to
So are
approve
you
minutes.
comfortable if I make those changes to approve
I
the
would just
minutes?
move to add those.
As
two
amended?
items,
Sure.
the deferred maintenance, the balance.
And then are you
for the
comfortable approving them as long as I amend them?
Yeah, just
Right.
in a general note, so.
So Jennifer, you type the minutes?
I do, yeah.
So do you use the video as reference a lot of times?
I do go back and refer to it, yes.
I would if I were you. So just, throwing that out there.
Okay, would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the December meeting, subject to the changes that Shelby identified and that Jennifer's gonna make.
I second that.
Well, it's not that I'm entertaining, does any need a motion first?
Oh, we need a motion.
I kind of framed the language, but I didn't make the motion.
I move that we approve the minutes that will be amended for the December 9th meeting. The regular board meeting.
Second.
Regarding, I think you need to specify regarding, board strategy discussion, item C. So that they know where it goes in the minutes.
Say it, Mary.
I'm just saying for clarification.
Shelby can mouth it to you.
You're not gonna do it, are you? Wow.
Go ahead. Just what he said.
I'd second.
Trustee Good.
Yes.
Trustee Brungart. Yeah. Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly's absent. Trustee Hueslick.
Yes.
Trustee Shear.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. That
Speaking of
passes
Dr.
6.
Kroll, I think she did alter our YouTube minutes a year ago, 2 years ago, and timestamped it, which is amazingly convenient.
That was right before I came.
Yeah, that's so helpful. Then if you are looking for something, it's like. boop, boop, boop.
They're not time stamped
They
anymore.
weren't before, you just have to listen to them. the whole-
I know that, but I thought they continuing to do
They are.
timestamp.
Well, in our minutes, they
okay.
are, yeah.
Okay, in a quick timeout, then I will make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented,
As amended.
as
It's
amended.
amended.
Sorry.
Second,
No discussion on that one?
You good?
yes.
Trustee Brungart.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly's absent. Trustee Hueslick.
Yes.
Trustee Shear.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Passes 6-0. Moving on to supplemental information, KPIs. Do we have any discussion on those this month?
Those are presented for your information, but we would be happy to entertain any questions if you have them.
And I have a question. I don't know that we need an exec session today, do we?
We do. We, the administration, knows of no reason to have an executive session.
We can't possibly end a meeting before 6, so we have to stay and talk about something.
I do have a question for Jennifer. Jennifer, on page 197 on the exec activity calendar,
Yes.
is there any way you can put home or away on that?
These are all
Where-
home.
no.
I
Those-
only put home
Oh,
events on there.
that's what you're
Unless it's
doing
something I
now.
don't know about.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. That helps.
So
Not in the cool place.
Anyone have questions about the statement of revenues? Hearing none. Dr. Vietti, you want to mention anything on the thank you notes of the board calendar?
No.
It's all there.
Shelley, our meeting Friday, 9 AM, is it here in the basement?
So sorry. Sorry.
Just wanted to take a second to introduce our new Associate VP for Institutional Research, Dr. Aiden Dunleavy. He's joining us from another area institution, and we're super glad to have him with us.
Are you from here?
So I've lived in the Wichita Andover area for the past 13 years.
And
Yes.
before that?
So before that, I lived in Omaha for about 10 years.
Uh-huh.
My wife went to school at Creighton and she got a job out of college before I did. So that's where I went.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
board meetings ending before 6 is totally the norm.
Yeah.
You have set the standard during my interim period of time. You realize that.
You need to call Dr. Kroll tonight, like. I would be-
I don't know why too. What are you talking about, long meetings?
Kim, if you're, yeah, I hope she's not, bless her heart.
I have appreciated what Linda has done with respect to the kind of circling back at the end of each meeting about any action items that we have, and I will do my best to try to continue that. I don't have anything that we've mentioned tonight. Does anybody have something that I missed?
My own proposal might possibly be next month, if we're gonna proceed with the video, no video, have 2 or 3 items or options typed out. So we're not kind of muddling through how to make it work. If most of the trustees don't want to live stream, but some of us want to record it and post it, or if we don't want to record and post it, it's a transcript. Maybe have 3 options.
Oh, I see, to vote on.
I would just say, just leave it as is, who cares, unless that's too much burden on the person recording, but.
Well, and that could be an option too.
Okay.
If the board is comfortable as included in the background. And then in the recommended action items, we will have option 1, option 2, option 3. And option 1 would be status quo.
I have a question. Does the El Dorado City Commission, do they tape their meetings?
I do not know, but we'll find out.
And the county? I'd like to know who else does it in the county.
County commissioners actually send me an email of what their agenda is and then what they discussed afterwards.
Yeah,
Boom, boom.
I get it too.
So
The city televises them, don't they?
Well, I don't.
Isn't it on the
I
Butler,
don't
the
remember
Eldo
I know
TV?
Augusta
lately.
does.
I think so, but I don't know. I would assume if they're live that they're archived, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
We are happy to research that and we'll include it in the background information within the topic for action.
you guys now want to say how you're leaning either way? We want to spend a lot of work on
I,
to change it if we don't want to change it.
I think it's fine, but if we get down to 100 viewers, I'm ready to get rid of it. So I think we just watch the data and,
About archive.
oh, I think that's fine.
I don't care if it's live streamed or not, as long as it's videoed. and
Yeah.
I think it's a benefit to Jennifer. I think
I'm
it
totally
makes
fine,
sense.
no live stream, but video and archive
Yeah.
on YouTube with a link on the website.
I'd like to
That's
know,
my lean for what it's worth.
I would like,
Eliminate the
my
live
lean.
stream,
That would
but
save us a
keep the
lot of
video.
time next week and a lot of work on the staff.
yeah,
to say,
but I'd sure like to know what the rest of the county people do.
Well, I can tell you that according to Google, who knows everything, the Butler County Commissioners meeting is live streamed.
Anybody else?
I didn't check everybody. You
Yeah,
give me who you want.
Meta, isn't that it, the new thing,
I'd
Meta?
like to leave it
Ask
live stream,
Meta.
I'm fine, just video and then post it and not sharing it's live. People calling us like, hey, no.
So I'm hearing 2 options that should be included in the recommended
That sounds
actions.
great.
for
Keep
your
as is or
consideration.
video and archive.
Mhm.
We will see if there is another best practice option out there.
Because also, I mean, we also have to think about BCTV and their time commitments. I mean, there are times when they have time, but there are times when, man, they're running from one ballgame to another and this and that and
But like people who go to the nurse's pinning or graduation, I mean,
Right.
that's archived in history, like, hey, here's when I
Right.
I mean, I think it's important to have a record. It doesn't cost.
It is.
Jennifer, how do you feel about it?
Yeah.
however you all choose.
But she'd really like to have a recording. I'll finish this.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's something to be said about the normal practices we have shouldn't say normal. It's not uncommon that we have an hour-long exec session at the end of the meeting. And
Yeah.
those that are having to deal with the live stream are
True.
having to sit here for,
Right.
I mean, that's killing another hour and a half of their evening that we wouldn't otherwise have
I
to.
think any recording should end at that point. And no business, because we're not doing the action.
Yeah.
Well, very rarely we might take a vote after that. It might be a once in a year exception.
Well,
What?
keep those thoughts in mind, before the action comes up for next month. Hearing
wait a minute,
nothing-
Arnold Palmer wouldn't be happy.
Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yeah.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly's absent, trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Feeling like we
And-
did something because this feels wrong.
Yeah.
but- Yeah.
We've had too many